Algebra Word Problems number 14a, write, solve equations with parentheses. So we've been doing these word problems in this whole playlist, and this is our flowchart showing how to solve the word problems. But we're trying to write them and solve them, okay? So this is the order in how we can solve them. Let's see what we've got to do here when they have a parentheses in them. Parentheses and brackets are commonly used in algebraic equations, and they tell us which part of the equation to do first. So we have parentheses around the word parentheses and brackets around the word brackets. The parentheses also tell us to multiply the number next to them by the term, the numbers, coefficients, variables that are inside of them. We remove the parentheses by distributing the multiplication and opening the equation up. So 3 and then parentheses x plus 8 would be 3 times x plus 3 times 8, like this. That would give us 3x plus 24. We combine the separate variables, do all the addition and subtraction, do all the multiplication and division, and if the parentheses have a negative sign in front of the parentheses, we distribute that negative to each term in the parentheses. So if you have a number in parentheses, or a term in parentheses, and you see a negative sign in front of it, we're going to distribute this negative to each one of these inside the parentheses. And when you see a negative with no number there, it actually means negative, and there's an invisible 1. Isn't that something? All right? So just remember, we need to be on the lookout for variables that can be combined, and when we do our inverse operation, we need to make sure our scale is balanced on each side, and that whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. We don't want the scale to tip one way heavier than the other. If you subtract 4 from this side, you have to subtract 4 from that side. So if we're given the statement 3 times the sum of a number plus 1 equals 2 times the sum of a number plus 4, and it says to write an equation and solve it, what we can do is we can let n be the sum of the number. Sum of a number plus 1. This is going to be really, really important, okay? And this is one thing you can do to help you when you're doing the word problems and trying to break them down. You can underline or circle the important parts, okay? So now we know there's 3 times the sum of a number plus 1. So because we're going to let n be the sum of the number, we're going to think, well, it says 3 times that. 3 times that n. But it says 3 times the sum of a number plus 1. That means we're going to multiply the sum of a number plus 1 by 3. It didn't say 3 times a number plus 1. See? It said the sum of a number plus 1. That's telling me that we need to keep the number and 1 together, away from everybody else. We need to get the sum of it, all right? So it would be no difference if it said 3 times 2 times 5. If it said 3 times the product of 2 times 5, wouldn't that tell you that we need to get the product of 2 times 5? And it would be 3 times that? So because the word sum is here, that tells me that they need to be alone in parentheses. Okay? If it didn't need to be alone in parentheses and we could just have 3n plus 1, it would just say 3 times a number plus 1. But it didn't. It said the sum of a number plus 1. Okay? We got our equals, so we know it's equals, and then 2 times the sum of a number plus 4. So now we know we have an n plus 4 in parentheses. Okay? It didn't say 2 times a number plus 4. It said the sum of a number plus 4. So that means we needed to add these. So now we have our equation. We have 3 and then n plus 1 in parentheses equals 2 times n plus 1 in parentheses. And to solve it, we need to open it up on each side by distributing the multiplication. And we do. And here's how. We're going to multiply 3 times n, so we get 3n. We're going to drop our plus sign, and then multiply 3 times 1 and get 3. We're going to drop our equal sign, and then we're going to multiply 2 times n and get 2n, drop our plus sign, and do 2 times 4, which is 8. Now we have 3n plus 3 equals 2n plus 8. Now we can start doing inverse operation to solve it. So to get rid of this plus 3, because we want to get the n alone to one side, we can subtract 3. And that'll create a 0 pair. Plus 3 minus 3 makes 0. So now on this side of the equal sign, we just have 3n. On this side, we subtract the 3 because we want our scale to be balanced, and we have 5, and we drop the 2n. So now we have 2n plus 5 on this side and 3n on this side. We need to get the variables all on one side and this number on another side by itself. So we're going to move that 2n over to this side, but we have to change his sign in order to do it. If you saw my last video, you'd understand, okay? So I think that was in the number 13. So you might want to watch video number 13 in the Algebra Word Problems if you don't understand changing the sign, okay? So the 2n comes underneath the 3n and we subtract, and we end up with 1n. But we know that's an invisible 1. We never put the 1. So really it's just n equals 5, okay? Now, we're going to check it and plug in the 5 wherever the n should have been. We had 3n plus 3 equals 2n plus 8. So we're going to do 3 times 5 is 15 plus 3 is 18. And 2 times 5 is 10 plus 8 is 18. Yep, it worked. Now let's see what would have happened if we didn't put the parentheses. What if we just kept it at 3 and a number plus 1 equals 2 and a number plus 4? We would have subtracted 1 from here and from here to create a 0 pair, and the 3n would have been by itself. Then we would have had 3n equals 2n plus 3. And then by taking the 1 away from here, that's where the plus 3 comes from. The 2n would come over to this side and become just an n, and we'd have n equals 3 instead of n equals 5. And that would have been wrong. We would have ended up with the wrong answer. So my advice to you is look for clue words like 3 times the product of, or 3 times the sum of, or 3 times the difference of, 3 times the quotient of. Look for those clue words for add, subtract, multiply, and divide, whatever they call their answer. In addition, the answer is called a sum. In subtraction, it's called a difference. In multiplication, it's a product. In division, it's a quotient. So if you see something times a quotient, then you know even that's supposed to be in parentheses, okay? If it doesn't have those words and it just says 3 times a number plus n, you know you don't need the parentheses, okay? So I hope that helped. I hope I was clear enough to explain when the parentheses come in. And I'm going to do another video, number 14b, and it's going to be a little bit different than this word problem so that we'll see another example of how we have to use parentheses when we write equations. All right? Keep your chin up. Keep trying. I'll see you next video. Bye.